And an official good evening. On behalf of the Office of Parent and Family Resources, we're excited to have you here for our last webinar. I'm going to quickly turn it over so we can get to the exciting stuff. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Luke from Panther Central. A reminder, you can use the Q&A at any point. Luke, the virtual stage is all yours.
Great. Hello, everyone. My name is Luke Robson. I am the director of Panther Central as well as business systems here at the University of Pittsburgh. Um, in fairness, I have only been here for a little over 3 months, so I still get to play the I'm new card. So while I have a commitment to care for your students while they're here on campus and provide services and really assist your students once they're here on campus, I really am going to let Beth lead the charge here, and Beth can go ahead and introduce yourself and take us through the slides.
I will. My name is Beth Fowler. I've been with Panther Central about 3 years. And what I can tell you about myself is that 3 years ago this summer, I also was packing up my youngest to become a Panther herself, moving her into Tower A. I did not work here yet, so I didn't have all the ins and outs of everything, just like you. And so I can answer any questions you might have about what that was like and all the prep work that goes into it. But I did prep some slides for us tonight that will sort of go through like what is Panther Central? What do we do while we're on campus? How can we service you and your child while you're here? And then we'll pivot away from what we do and what you can expect from getting out of your car to moving them into their room in a couple of weeks. So Panther Central, we are located inside the lobby of the Litchfield Towers, and we are open 24/7, and we are really here to service the families and the students. We oversee IDs, we help with housing and dining, along with a million other little things. But the most important relationships we have are with our partners. So like I mentioned, housing and dining, when it's time, we will help your incoming first-year student around the holidays decide where they would like to live and get them at comfortable with the process that they will go through with housing. We can do things with dining, same thing, troubleshoot issues, help them pick a plan that works for them or change it if the window is allowed for that. We also partners with facilities management, which is our maintenance team. So your student can let us know that, the shower is flooding or something minuscule, like the blinds on their windows have broken. That can all be reported by themselves or through us. And so that maintenance is also available 24 hours a day, just in case. One of our partners is the Pitt Police. We use them for all sorts of different things, but the University of Pittsburgh has our own police force. Which is great. And they get to know the kids. They definitely know everybody that works here. And it's a great relationship that we have. And our final important partner would be Residence Life. So every floor of our residence halls for underclassmen have an RA, just like you did back in the day. And that's someone that touches base with the students, runs things up the chain if there's a problem, can help with roommate issues. But in addition to having an RA, each building has a resident director who is an adult. Usually these are people working on their PhDs or just upper educational goals that they have. Many of them have spouses that live in their apartment with them. So there's plenty of support for your student between us and all of our partners. And how I like to say it is Panther Central is responsible for making sure the facilities your children use work and are in good condition, and Residence Life makes sure that your student is working in and is in working condition as well. So between the two of us, we have everything we need for your student to be successful. Okay, so mobile ID is relatively new to us. This is its second season. And it's been wonderful. So you can link all of the information that a student needs, whether it's opening the lock of their door, their meal plan is on there, their bus riding privileges is on there, Everything lives there. And as you can see from the screen, this is a great added feature. You can see in real time what their Panther funds balance is and what their dining dollar balance is. I can tell you that my student ran through dining dollars like a hot knife through butter because she never could see in real time like what she had. So this is fantastic for keeping kids straight, and you also can know this information, but they can also pair a smartwatch with it as well. So if they're holding a bunch of bags, their wrist can tap into their room or anywhere else on campus they want to go. It works for their library, gives them gym access, every single little thing. And the biggest question we typically get is what happens if the phone is dead, which is a fair question. There's a chip inside Apple phones that, like God forbid our car goes into a ditch and they could find us with the phone. That same safety chip will open a door, even if it's dead, for up to like 3-4 hours. It's not like a miracle chip, but it will give you some time to get in your room. Let's say it's dead. Panther Central is, like I said, open 24 hours a day. If a student is locked out, actually, I need to change my screen for that. Sorry. When a student is locked out, we do have a procedure for this. So they have gone into the shower, they have forgotten their phone, and they go back to the room and they cannot get in. Every floor in our residence halls has an emergency phone on it that can call us. When we answer the phone, we will ask them about 4 or 5 questions that only they should know. Basic stuff like, their birthday and their home address, things that only they should know. Once we have decided that this is actually the person that needs access to this room and not somebody trying to get access to their room, we will give them an electronic code and program their door from our office that they punch in at the keypad and allows them to get in. So that is the process if they were already in their building. If they were outside the building, like they went to the library and forgot their phone, they would do the same exact thing, but they would do it at the allied security guard at the front of their building, because the security guard is not allowed to let anybody in past his door without an ID. So we would just do that process at the guard. The Panther Central representative talks to the guard and says you can grant access to the student, and then everybody's in. So we can do that for free 3 times each semester. The 4th one through the 9th one is a $20 charge. The 10th lockout is $50. And if you want to ask if we've gone past 10, we have. But that charge goes straight to Pitt Pay. The student doesn't have to pay in real time. You just get to do it after the fact. But that is the procedure, and is why you do not have to worry about your ID being on the phone, because we always have a way to get you in. So as I said, we can help with meal plans. There's about 25 places on campus that they can eat. And so what typically we see in our office, maybe somebody's tapping into the eatery and it doesn't let them in. Like there's some sort of technological reason why they can't get past the cashier. So they come up and see us and we can troubleshoot it and get everything fixed for them. That's our biggest role, I guess, with them, other than helping kids decide if they're, what size meal plan they want. We can help with that. There's always a window leading up to ad drop, which this year, September 4th, that they can make changes to their meal plan. And I believe that's either live now or about to be live, that they have this chance to change it if they didn't like what they already did. So our biggest question, and it's kind of a mountain of an answer, but there's meal exchanges built into their meal plan, and there's also meal swipes, and then there's flex swaps. What are they? What do they mean? And how do they use them? So a meal swipe is simply when you tap into the eatery or the perch. It's as many times in the day that you want. They don't let you, they don't ask you to leave after 8 hours if you were inclined to eat there the whole time. It's one of our all you care to eat locations, both of those. But there is a 1 hour delay in between taps. So if you went at 11 o'clock and you tried to tap in at 11:45, you would get a denial, but at 12 o'clock, you can go right back in. So meal swipe, anytime you enter the eat or eat or purge, that one's simple. A meal exchange, there's one of them each day of your meal plan. And we have locations across campus, on campus, that they can use their meal, they can use the exchange there instead of eating at the eat or eat or purge. So the easiest rule of thumb, because that's a lot of places, where are they? How do I know this? Now, there's a million apps the kids are going to get, and they'll master this really soon. But for the rest of us, the rule of thumb is if you find a place to eat that's within Pitt walls, they will take your meal exchange. So in Posvar Hall, which is our liberal arts college, a lot of first year students have classes there. There's an Einstein Brothers Bagels on the second floor. So following that rule, it's inside a Pitt building. They take the meal exchange. So every single day, one of those is built in. They're changing it this year. There's not a set price. They're going to build it so you get an entree, a side, and a drink, and that's it. That's everything that you need. So that's your meal exchange. So think of it as you're exchanging your swipe for a meal somewhere else. And then the flex swaps are the same exact thing, except that each semester they have 10 of these that they can use for you, friends that might be visiting them, or themselves later in the semester. If maybe they're out of dining dollars and they still wanted to eat somewhere else, they can save them for themselves. And it's the exact same rules I mentioned before. Inside a Pitt building, they can use it. They cannot order on the mobile ordering for the flex swaps. Those are in person. So I guess that's one little difference between the meal exchange and the flex swaps. The other thing to know about that is those 10 are per semester and they do not roll over. Okay, I'm sure you mastered that. Let's go to the other hard question. So what are dining dollars and what are Panther funds? So dining dollars are built into the meal plan you selected. Your student's either going to start with 150, 300, or 500, depending on the meal plan that you chose. They are also available to use at the on-campus dining location. Same thing within the walls. They can use those there. The initial load that will happen on August 15th, 75% of that money is on-campus dining and 25% of that money is off-campus vendors. So there is a list of outside restaurants around the Oakland area. Stacked is probably the most popular one that's down on Forbes. They'll have 25% of their meal plan, or not the meal plan, I'm sorry, but their dining dollars to use there. So if they want to go out for a nice night on, instead of eating on campus, they could do that. With dining dollars, you'll have an ability to load more of them onto their meal plan later in the semester. But when you order additional dining dollars, 100% of those are on campus only. That's the difference there. And something to be careful of, if you're getting to the holidays and they want some more dining dollars, there's a question you have to ask yourselves. If they plan on keeping the same exact meal plan in the spring as they had in the fall, if there's $25 of dining dollars left over in December, that 25 will be rolled over into spring, which is nice. However, if they're already planning in their head that they want a lesser plan, then anything left over in December would expire. People get very upset about that, and it's important to note that. So that's basically it for dining dollars. You use them around on-campus locations, the 75-25% split, and that you can get more, but just to be careful in case you plan on changing your plan. Panther funds. These are money, and this is additional money that your family can add at Panther Central's website. That's something like if some aunt wanted to send some money to your student just to be nice, you could give this link to them and they could load money on their Panther funds themselves. The student can do it in person with us or at that same link, and of course you too. Everywhere on campus takes Panther funds. The bookstore, the coffee shop, everywhere that's on campus will take them. They do not expire until the day they graduate from Pitt. And you can use Panther funds to pay for laundry. We will do more of that in a little bit. So that's the big difference there. Panther funds used to be really essential, and now with the apps and different ways, they're sort of getting phased out a bit, but they're still available. So Pitt Mobility is new for us. This, we've acquired them as well, so they work out of our office. We're still all getting used to them, but basically, they have a bunch of different really cool things that they do around campus as well. Pitt is a huge biking school, believe it or not. If you've been here with the hills and the snow, I'm sure you're questioning that, but it is a very big biking school. And there's bicycle storage. There's an entire cave in Posvar for bicycles with the most friendly man that only wants to talk about biking. He gives classes about biking around campus. We have lockers down there. The office also takes care of any sort of parking permits that may happen on campus. You can register your e-bikes there. The thing that they probably run into the most, because not a lot of people park on campus because it's kind of a nightmare to do so, but our shuttle system. We have 8 routes that travel throughout all branches, north, south, and central Oakland, that run until 1 in the morning. So if you were an upper campus and you're like, you know what, I'm at the library, I don't feel like working on my calves today, walking up the hill, I can hop on a shuttle that'll take me to upper campus faster than walking. So that is something that they can track in real time with the Translock app. They can see where any of the shuttles are at any time, and they can decide if they want to wait or not for that. A fun feature that's new to us too, obviously they can use the Pitt shuttles, but they're also allowed to use CMU shuttles. Carnegie Mellon is right down the street from us. Their shuttle paths cross us a lot, so they don't care if we use those too. They're just going to want to check their ID to make sure they're Pitt students. And then the other exciting thing is our shopping shuttle on Sunday picks students up at the library at specific times, a couple different times throughout Sunday. They'll go to Aldi, they'll go to Target, and there's one other location. It's in East Liberty, which is, if you hopped our bus on any normal time, you're in East Liberty in like 10 minutes, so it's not super far away. But they go to 3 major shops so that if you wanted to do a little shopping but didn't want to lug it all back on the PAT bus or the PRT bus, then you can hop our shuttle. One thing I did want to mention is the Pogo at the top of that list. That is a bike sharing program that is really popular here. We have stations all around the Oakland area. They'll create an account using their Pitt email, and it gives them free 30-minute rides, unlimited. If they do link up a debit or credit to it. If they would ride longer than 30 minutes, it's $4 for each additional 30 minutes that they're on the bike. So they can pick it up in one location, drop it off at a separate location. And the kids, I don't have the exact number in front of me with mobility, but it was so popular that there was a dramatic decrease in rides in the shuttle service that we provide because kids are hopping on and off of these bikes. And God love them because of the hills. That's all I have to say. Not interested in that. The other great thing that Pitt Mobility has is our Safe Rider plan. It's a little confusing, but you'll get there with me. So it's sort of like a Band-Aid from when like our shuttles stop, or that if your student isn't close to the public transportation that runs through Oakland. So the Safe Rider runs, let me see, I have this right here. It runs from 9 at night till 3 in the morning. The student calls there. I believe they can also request this through the app that they have. They're allowed 1 round trip per evening with a maximum of 25 trips per semester. It's not for emergencies. You would need the police for that. But the example I'm going to give you, so you can kind of see this crazy map that's up there that is like, that's what we basically consider campus. It's sort of like, a crazy shape. But if you were at like somewhere on the yellow lines, you were visiting a friend and it's midnight and you wanted to go back to Lothrop Hall to go to bed, what the Safe Rider would do is come pick you up and drop you at the cathedral, which is where our shuttle hub is. And then the shuttle would get you the rest of the way. But if it's after 1 in the morning and our shuttle is no longer available, the Safe Rider would take you from your friend's house to the hall that you live at. So it's great. And there's another perk to that is that if you were, now this is very specific, but it could happen. If it was on a Sunday or a day where our shuttle is running on a holiday schedule and you were at the Greyhound, Amtrak, or Mega Bus, that's what time you arrived. Safe Rider would pick you up there and bring you back to campus. But specifically on Sunday after 9 o'clock at night, like the stars have to align, but you never know, that might help you out somewhere down the road. I wanted you to know that. Let me see if I can go back one. Okay. So with your mobile ID, you can download the Ready to Ride app. And this allows you to ride Pittsburgh's buses, subways, and inclines with your ID. So this is something that it's just another app that you add to your phone, but you can't have this app unless you have the mobile ID. They work in tandem. So you set up an account using your Pitt credentials. If you use your personal email, this will not work. The Pitt email is what gives you the free rides. So, excuse me. So then you can take this everywhere. The most important bus to have in mind is a 28X. Stops at all of the stops on Fifth Avenue and stops at the Pittsburgh International Airport. So if your student was coming home for a holiday and you didn't want to pay for an Uber or anything like that, they could hop on a bus, and it's about a 50-minute ride out to the airport, but because they have this ID, they won't pay for that trip. Okay, so that pretty much covers mostly all of the corners of Panther Central. I do have a little side note that I wanted to mention before we pivot into arrival details, but speaking of the ID, we have about 2,000 headshots from students uploading them to us. We need about 3,000-ish more of those before arrival. If you could check with your student and just see if in their Pitt email there's a link to upload their headshot. If not, they could contact Panther Central and we will send them one. If they're not registered yet for classes, because I know they're still meeting with advisors at this point, then once the registration is official, then they'll get the link for the photo. But if you could back us up and hound them a little bit on that, that would be great. Because they want their mobile ID in place before they get to campus or they can't get into their room. Okay, enough of that. So arrival, what's going to happen? What is your day like on arrival day? Okay, before you get into your car, you're gonna pack all of your stuff, and you will have visited this website, arrival.pitt.edu, because it has absolutely everything that you need. The most important thing that you're going to find on there is your parking pass that you'll print out for your dashboard to get some free parking while you're on campus. But every single thing you need to know, the schedule for Welcome Week is on there, all the wonderful things your kids are going to be doing. And I also wanted to note August 15th and 16th is first year move in between 8 and 8. Upperclassmen come the following weekend. But one of the questions we typically get is, I can only come on the 17th. What am I supposed to do? Well, you are more than welcome to come. And the only thing that I want to let you know is the next few things we talk about is what's going to happen on campus when you get here, between the wristbands and the logistical guy telling you where to go with your car. Those will not be here the 17th through the 20th. That does not mean that you cannot come. You can just park in one of the parking garages, get a cart, we will still have those, and do what's best for your family. Just wanted to say that. Okay, doesn't really matter what you can bring. The most important things are what not to bring. And so typically with the appliances that plug in, if there's a hot plate attached to it in any way, shape, or form, it's a no. So like your drip coffee pot falls under that category, but the Keurig doesn't. So you can have that. I don't know many people that move into residence halls with crock pots, but I'm sure it's on the list for a reason because somebody must have. So anything that is found on this list. There are room checks on the holidays when the kids go home, typically go home. The RAs will do a sweep through the rooms, and if they see anything on here, the student will get like a little fine, and it'll get confiscated. If it's something like a toaster oven, I'm sure you're going to want that back, but the residence life is going to keep that, until a time where it can be picked up. If it's not till the last day of school, it's not till the last day of school. But that's how they handle those. The e-scooters, they all have like the lithium batteries. They can't come in. We had a fire once at one of our buildings because of it. But basically, they're illegal on the streets of Pittsburgh and on the sidewalks. So even if we didn't have a policy, the city does. And so that's a little what not to bring, leave behind. Okay. You've pulled up to where you're supposed to be to unload your car. They're going to give you 1 hour in this location. Some nice child is going to throw a cart at you to put as much stuff in there as you possibly can. Maybe you brought a dolly. I recommend that myself. And then you could have a cart full of things and a dolly full of things heading in that direction. This is not the time to be particular. This is a time to unload your car as fast as possible within that hour, and then you will move your car to its secondary location. This is where your parking pass comes out comes into play that you printed out. You just complete it. There's a basic information that's on there, basically like where you're going and the date that you're there. So excuse me. Once you complete the parking path on the dashboard, you can stay in the secondary location as long as your child wants you to be around. If you're on lower campus, you'll use Soldiers and Sailors Garage or Pause Bar. If you're on upper campus, it's the OC Lab. I put the clearance heights on there just so you would know. Depending on the height of your car, you may have to just find parking on the street at that point if it's too tall to make it into the garage. But that's the first little logistics of your day. Unload as fast as possible, get to your long-term parking, and then head to one of the station locations for a ride. You may not be able to read this if you're my age. So any place you see a star is one of our arrival station locations. So up in the top left, you'll see upper campus. There's one up there. Basically down here is near the quad and across the street near Nordenberg. They're strategically placed so that we kind of hit everybody. Once you're there, you're going to get a wristband to put on. That wristband will allow you to go up into the building with your student without having to stop to get signed in. The only time this happens is arrival. Any other time you want to come visit, you need to have a passport or ID with you so that the guard can sign you in and know that you are who you say you are. And we've had a whole bunch of times where a parent comes and we make special arrangements. We're not going to forbid you from going in there, but just so you know that. But the wristband will allow you that day to come in and out without having to do that extra step. And while you're there, there'll be other merchandise and some fun things there, water stations if you need it. And then while you're in the process of doing all of this, if you need a break, onto your student's mobile ID, 2 complimentary meals will be loaded on there for you guys to stop at either the Eatery or the Perch to have lunch on us while you're in the middle of all of this. Once you get up to your door, depending on the kind of phone that you have, there's very specific ways to hold it for it to actually open, which we all learned together last year in real time, and it was fun. So the number 5 is where the sensor is on the keypad. And you would position your Apple phone between the 5 and the 8 or the 2 and the 5 for the best connectivity. The Android's much easier. It's the entire back of the phone. So however you hold it there, it's going to work for you. Sometimes you might experience a red light, which means the Wi-Fi is resetting. If you just let her do what she has to do for 60 seconds and tap again, you'll go right in. So now you're inside the room. The very first thing you're looking for is your ship to Pitt boxes that should be on the bed. If they are not, and this hardly ever happens, I'm just saying, if it should happen, or if a box got damaged, you would email them at Ship to Pitt. You could also stop down at Panther Central and we can contact them for you if you didn't have any way to do that in real time. I talked to the head of Ship to Pitt yesterday and she said on average, they process 9,000 boxes each arrival. And I think I heard a little while ago that they've exceeded that already. So it's a good year. And I would be irresponsible not to remind you that today is the last day to get those boxes to UPS before midnight. So you're not charged extra fees on that. Okay, so everyone's in, everyone's getting settled down. Usually one of the things parents want to know before they take off and they're leaving their student behind is how are they going to pay for laundry? Because they want to put some money on some sort of fund so they know their kid is okay. So it's a very high tech now. There is an app and you scan it in. You do not have to do this right here. I just wanted to make it available to you, but this is an active QR code. In every laundry room, there's a poster hanging that has this on there as well. They just set it up with their Pitt ID. And they will be able to hook up their credit or debit to it. So that way you don't have to worry about if there's money left behind or whatever. It can always pull off the debit or credit. Might be good, might be bad. They can look if there's empty machines available before they leave their dorm room through the app. If they want if they want a machine to start, but there's a technological reason that it did not start, there's a place in the app to report that the machine is damaged and hey, I would like my money back for the one that didn't work. If a machine does not start the way it's supposed to, or if it needs multiple turns to dry a load, they will give you a refund for those extra loads that needs to be paid for. So that's all exciting. It works really well. There is our old traditional Panther funds that you can load, and then they would still tap their ID to use it. And it would just, pull from the Panther funds in that case. And then you could load more when it gets low, either in person or on our website. Okay, so I think I got you from pulling up to the curb to leaving all in that one day. Luke is going to talk about some FERPA laws, and I think I'm done.
Thank you everyone for listening to Beth. So FERPA laws, I know a lot of times parents really want to help their students through the process, but since 1974, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act really prohibits us from sharing certain things for adult students with parents. So in that, I know that in a lot of times you're trying to call in to assist or get some questions answered, and it might be frustrating that Panther Central can only answer specific questions dealing with your student. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that while I know you're trying to assist the student, there are times that the student will have to call on their own or come down to Panther Central on their own or be with you to get some assistance there. And that's based in FERPA laws, not because Panther Central doesn't want to tell you or that they're trying to keep anything from you, but that is a legality that we do have to follow. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there to everyone as well, that you and your student are welcome to come down to Panther Central and we can answer all the questions when you're together. However, we do have to adhere to these laws. So that's kind of what I have for that.
I can add to that. I think at this point we're pretty well versed in FERPA, and we can pretty tap dance around it to get you, what we're legally allowed to say, or at least get you to the point where you know who else to call after that. However, if your student would be on the phone with you, like all three of us at the same time, and they give consent, we can have that same conversation you wanted to have, but they're there to give the consent on that.
I'm Kathleen. I've been feverishly typing to answer your questions. There was one question that I wanted to have Beth, maybe you speak to that came in that was about how can a parent look up or track meal plan usage? And I wanted you to maybe talk a little bit about Transact app and how you would answer that for a parent. Thanks.
Okay. There's the Transact e-accounts app that your student may have already downloaded. You can download the same thing so that you can have your own version of that. So you can know in real time where they're sitting on dining dollars, how many of what they have, do they need more? You can absolutely have access to that app. the same exact one they have. You just obviously need to know their information to log in there to find it. But other than that, yes, you can use the app.
I'm answering a few additional questions here. Please visit the Panther Central website, pc.pitt.edu, for any outstanding questions you have regarding mobile ID, how to upload your photo, information about your arrival date and time, getting to that arrival website where the parking pass is, connecting to Ship to Pitt. All of those things can be found on pc.pitt.edu, as well as there's a contact us button. That creates a Salesforce case, which then goes directly to a staff member who will answer your question and get back to you very quickly. Additionally, there's a live chat option on the Panther Central website, and I stress the word live. I know I'm a little bit skeptical sometimes on a website when I see chat with us, but I can vouch that this is live. So Panther Central staff that report to Beth and Luke are actually live chatting you. So just know that if you choose that option, you are actually speaking to a representative from Panther Central. Oh, thanks for the heart. Um, that's what I had to say.
There are times when I'm in a chat and I think the way I worded that makes me look like I'm not a real person. So then I'll like do a little like something to make it, you know what I mean? So I don't look robotic.
Well, I don't think we have anything else. Again, if we didn't get to your specific question, please, again, go to the website, contact Panther Central, and I think that we can get your individual questions answered. I know a lot of you might have specific questions about your particular, building or things like that, and we'll do our best one-on-one then to answer any questions you might have.
Panther
Okay,
Central team, thank you so much.
no
It's
problem.
fantastic. A reminder that the recording will be posted to the Student Affairs YouTube channel in just a day or two.